We have three big stories. Okay? Story number one is a hilarious story about poor games journalism, but luckily we also got some interesting information out of it. So a game journalist, site slash whatever. I don't even know who knows what it is. I don't know if it's a website or just a social media thing called PC Focus. Okay, posted up a story that says the following. I'm going to read it word for word. From LinkedIn, it is revealed that PlayStation are strengthening relationships with PC SX2 emulator workers to bring more PlayStation 2 games to the PS5. They comment that the association would also be with third-party companies to make more backwards compatible titles, working with SIE/PlayStation to bring more games from PS1, PS2, and PSP to PS5, implicit conversions. Now, you might be saying, what does this mean? Well, if you remember, when PS5 launched, well, I don't want to say when PS5 launched, but when Sony launched their PlayStation Plus premium program a couple years ago, I tried it out. And when I tried it out, what did we find? We found PS1 games, PS4 games, and PS5 games. What we didn't see were PS2 or PS3 games. And we're like, why not? Well, because PS2 and PS3 games are on a, let me put it this way. When Sony designs their consoles, it's almost like they go outside the box to make them difficult to develop for. Particularly, this was the case with the PS3. When it came out, its architecture, wasn't it called like the cell processor or something like that? I can't remember what they were calling it. All the developers were like, we don't know why they did this, but they have such a unique hardware setup for this console, it's very hard to develop for it. It's not like Xbox, which has gone the way of making their hardware incredibly similar to, say, a PC. So we're equipped for that. We know how to develop for that. We can easily make games for it without a hassle. But Sony, like, purposefully wanted to be different for two console generations. So it was very hard for developers to constantly be developing for that. So fast forward to the present day, and now it's hard to emulate that. So it's funny because when you're on a PS5, you can play PS1 games, PS4 games, and PS5. Where's the other games? Why is there a giant gap in, like, the console system? Why can't I play these other? Because you can't emulate them. The emulation is so difficult to do that they don't have it on their own console. Now, there's other competitors to them that have been putting out emulators for PS2 and PS3 on the internet for many, many years, and some of them are quite good. But Sony seems to have not really taken advantage of that and just says, well, we can't do it. If you want to play our older games, you have to cloud stream them. And that was their solution with PS Plus Premium. You could play PS2, PS3 games, but only streamed through a cloud system, which in some cases works. It worked for me. Like, I tried Infamous 2, and it wasn't bad. It certainly wasn't as high fidelity as if you were playing it off the game disc. It was a lot of blur, but it was still highly playable. It was still very fun. And I was like, oh, this is definitely, better than my cloud experiences in the past. But for some people, it just ain't going to work. If you don't have, like, tip-top internet, you can't play those games. So people wondering, oh, does this actually mean that Sony is really working with this emulator PC SX2 to make their games run on their console now, so they'll have backwards compatibility? This is great news, except it's not true. Because Community Notes on X, corrected the story by linking to PC SX2's own post, and here's how it goes. There's a bunch of rumors going around saying that we're updating games for Sony. None of this is true. Two people who are no longer associated with this project are now doing updates, not us. We hope this quells the rumors. So people who used to work for PC SX2 and are no longer with that company or that project put on their LinkedIn profiles that they were working with Sony. Now you might say, what's LinkedIn? It's an employment website. You put your resume there to say, here's what I've worked on previously. If you're interested, you maybe hire me because here's my experience. So literally this company, PC Focus, whoever the hell they are, is reading LinkedIn resumes and speculating news stories off of a LinkedIn resume without corroborating any facts whatsoever. They didn't reach out to get from PCSX2 if this was true or not. They just published the story without asking. What a bunch of idiots. How do you not know what LinkedIn is and act like that? You know what I mean? Like, LinkedIn is not a fucking news site. So you might say, well, is it at least good news that Sony was at least trying to work with someone on emulation? Yes, it is actually good news. So it's not horrible or anything like that, but at the same time, it's kind of stupid that game journalism is at this level where they have so little news to cover or anything valid that they feel that people will watch. They have to create like clickbait articles. So let's just go to LinkedIn and rip shit off of someone's resume and publish it like it's a story when it's not. Really stupid.